The smell of burnt plasma and cheap alien liquor clung to the air as Jack, Sprocket, Dawson wiped grease off his hands. Another long day fixing busted thrusters for customers who barely understood the concept of maintenance. He was just about to call it quits when 3 7-foot-tall, tusked brutes stomped into his workshop. "Hey, fellas," Jack greeted, keeping his tone casual. Experience taught him that looking nervous around these types only made things worse. "What can I do for you? You looking for a tune-up? Maybe a, whoa, okay, no need for that." The biggest one grabbed him by the collar and hoisted him into the air like he weighed nothing. "You are the human warrior," the brute growled. Jack blinked. "I am? You have been selected for battle. The great Euron Thak has wagered heavily on your success." Jack sighed, hanging limply in the alien's grip. "Right. Mistaken identity. Again. Look, guys, I think you got the wrong." A sharp sting at his neck. Jack barely had time to mutter, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me," before the world blurred and went black. Jack woke up flat on his back, staring at the sky of a roaring arena. The wall stretched impossibly high, filled with thousands of screaming alien spectators. The air was thick with excitement, the scent of sweat, pheromones, and something vaguely like fried cheese. A booming voice echoed across the stadium. "Behold, the human champion." Jack pushed himself up on his elbows. "Champion? Me? No, see, I'm just a mechanic." The crowd erupted in laughter. Jack scowled. He hadn't even made a joke yet. "Let the mating trials begin." Jack coughed. "The what now?" Then they entered. The first one was an absolute brick house of a woman, 7 feet tall, arms like steel cables, thighs that could crack moons. Her chest? A force of nature, defying physics in ways even Jack's best engineering work couldn't explain. She flexed, causing a visible shockwave in the air. The second was leaner but just as dangerous, 4 arms, a tail, and skin the color of deep space. She slinked toward him like a predator, lips curling into a smirk. The third? A literal tank of a woman, her magnificent curves, somehow both soft and armored. Every step she took shook the ground. Jack groaned. "Oh, fantastic! I'm fighting the Intergalactic Victoria's secret rugby team." The audience roared with approval. A massive screen displayed the rules. Trials of endurance. Human must survive. No tapping out. "Oh, great," Jack muttered. "They got rules to keep me in, not to keep me alive." The first warrior stepped forward, cracking her knuckles. "I am Glorta, first among warriors. Do you fear me, human?" Jack swallowed. Define fear?" She grinned. "I accept your challenge." "Wait, no." A massive bear hug swallowed him whole. Jack's ribs protested immediately. He could feel his spine compressing like a cheap soda can. His voice came out strangled. "I regret all my life choices." Somewhere in the audience, a drunk alien cheered. "Crush him with your magnificent chest." Glortal laughed. "You are strong for your size, human." Jack wheezed. "Yeah. I work out. Mostly running away." She squeezed harder. He heard something pop. All right, I yield." Jack gasped. "Uncle! Mercy! A safe word would be nice." Glortal released him, and Jack collapsed face first into the sand. The audience booed. "Weak. Test another." Jack lifted his head weakly. "Oh, come on. I survived. Barely." The second alien stepped forward, cracking her 4 sets of knuckles. "I am Sazran. You must endure my challenge." Jack eyed her 4 arms. "Yeah, I don't like where this is going." She lunged, wrapping all 4 arms around him, locking his body in a tangle of muscle and alien curves. He felt parts of himself pressed against things he wasn't emotionally prepared to process. "This is a lot," Jack croaked. She grinded against him, her deep, sultry voice in his ear. "Can you endure?" "Define endure?" She chuckled. "You are so small, human." Jack groaned. "Could we not make size comparisons right now?" The crowd roared with laughter. Someone yelled, "Tighter!" Sazvrin obliged. Jack saw stars. "Okay, I get it. You're all very strong and terrifyingly beautiful." Sazvrin reluctantly let him go, and Jack collapsed again, sucking in air like a drowning man. The third warrior stepped forward. Jack waved weakly. "Look, lady, I appreciate the attention, but I think I'm about 3 hugs away from internal bleeding." She smirked. "I accept your challenge." Jack groaned. "Oh, for foo." She scooped him up like a bridal carry. Hey, I got legs," Jack yelped. "I can walk." She ignored him and tossed him into the air. For a brief moment, Jack experienced flight. Then gravity happened. He landed face first in her chest. The crowd lost their minds. Jack peeled his face away. "Okay, that was a lot." The announcer's voice boomed. "The human still stands." "Incredible." Jack did not feel incredible. He felt manhandled, possibly concussed, definitely in danger of suffocating in ways the history books would never respect. The alien women circled him again, grinning. Jack straightened, brushing sand off his shirt. He had to think fast, because he had exactly 0 chances of surviving the next round. And judging by the hungry look in their eyes, they were just getting started. The crowd roared as Jack tried to steady himself, heart pounding. His entire body ached from being used as a stress toy for warrior women built like military tanks. He needed an out. Fast. A shadow loomed over him. The 4th contender. He braced himself, ready for another round of bone-crushing, air-depriving physical abuse. But instead of grabbing him, she just crossed her arms and grinned. "Human, you have fought well," she purred, her voice husky, dripping with confidence. "But the final test is not of strength." Jack narrowed his eyes. "Oh, great. What is it this time? Endurance? Stamina? Some kind of charm," she interrupted. Jack blinked. "What?" She leaned in, eyes gleaming. "Make me laugh. Impress me. If you succeed, you may leave this arena intact. Fail? Well." She cracked her knuckles, making Jack rethink his entire life. He licked his lips, mind racing. Okay, you want humor? You want charm? No problem. They call me Jack Sprocket Dawson, the wittiest human this side of the galaxy." She raised an eyebrow. "Do they?" Jack coughed. "Okay, no, but they should. Look, I can be funny. I just need a second. My ribs are still figuring out if they want to keep existing after the last round." She tapped her foot, waiting. Jack scrambled. "All right. Let's see. Did you hear the one about the human mechanic who got thrown into an alien gladiator ring?" "No." "Me neither, because I'm living it." Silence. Jack winced. Tough crowd. Okay, how about this?" He gestured around. "You ladies keep calling this a trial, but I gotta ask, is this really a test, or did I just wake up in a very aggressive speed dating event? Because I'm getting mixed signals." That earned a small chuckle. Progress. Jack smirked, pushing his luck. "I mean, let's be real. I'm just a guy. A humble, fragile, soft-boned human. You, on the other hand, built like battleships. And you're all out here expecting me to hold my own? That's like putting a hamster in a cage with a bunch of panthers and calling it friendly competition." A few chuckles from the warriors. Jack wiped imaginary sweat from his forehead. I mean, look at me! Do I look like I can handle this? Do you see these arms? They were designed for wrenching bolts, not wrestling Amazonian death goddesses. One of the warriors snorted. Jack grinned. And another thing, mating trials? You really thought a human could survive this? Lady, I've had girlfriends back home who wore me out from just talking too much. And now you're throwing me in with women who could literally fold me into a pretzel? The lead warrior laughed. A full, deep, belly laugh. The crowd gasped. Jack didn't know if he should feel relieved or terrified. She wiped a tear from her eye, shaking her head. I must admit, human, you are amusing. Jack let out a breath. Oh, thank God. I thought I was gonna die before I even had a chance to. She grabbed his shirt, yanking him forward until they were nose to nose. But humor alone does not complete the trial. Jack stiffened. There's a phase 2? She smirked. Confidence. Jack gulped. Oh no! She tilted her head. You stand before powerful warriors. You have survived their embrace, their strength. But can you truly handle what comes next? Jack's stomach dropped. Define handle in this context. She cut him off by placing his hands on her hips. Or rather, the monumental, physics-defying curve she called hips. Jack's brain short-circuited. The crowd erupted into a frenzy. Cheers, catcalls, even a chant. Touch them! Touch them! Jack cleared his throat. Huh? She raised an eyebrow. What's the matter, human? You handle the crushing, the grappling, the suffocation. She leaned in, voice a sultry whisper. But can you handle me? Jack's mouth went dry. He was so out of his depth. A bead of sweat rolled down his temple. Lady, I'm gonna level with you. I've faced death traps, explosions, malfunctioning hyperdrives, and once, a very angry space mafia over an unpaid bar tab. But this? He gave a weak chuckle. This is way scarier. She grinned. Good answer. Then, without warning, she dipped him. Jack's stomach flipped as he was suddenly horizontal, one leg dangling uselessly in the air. The crowd lost their minds. Jack let out a strangled, "Oh, no." She lifted him back up, studying him. Your heart races. Your face is flushed. Are you afraid, human? Jack exhaled. Let's go with overstimulated and leave it at that. She smirked, running a finger under his chin. You amuse me. And you have endured. She turned to the crowd. He passes. The arena erupted in cheers. Jack collapsed to his knees. A booming voice rang out. The human survives the mating trials. Jack groaned. Barely. The lead warrior knelt beside him, grinning. I hope you realize, human, passing the trials means you have earned something special. Jack groaned. Please don't say a round 2. She winked. A celebration. With us. Jack froze. The crowd chanted his name. And that's when he knew. He wasn't getting out of this. Jack sat at the long, extravagant banquet table, shoulders stiff, eyes darting around like a man trapped in enemy territory. The arena had transformed into a feast hall, torches casting flickering shadows on the walls. Enormous platters of alien meats, exotic fruits, and questionable-looking drinks covered every surface. The warriors who had previously tried to squeeze the life out of him were now lounging around him, flushed from victory, their laughter filling the air. He had survived the trials. Barely. Now, he had to survive the after-party. A goblet the size of his head was shoved in front of him. Drink, human! One of the warriors bellowed. She was huge, even by their absurd standards, with arms that looked like they could tear a starship in half. She grinned at him, fangs glinting. You have earned your place at our table. Jack glanced at the thick, glowing blue liquid sloshing inside the cup. It smelled vaguely like engine coolant. What exactly is this? She slapped him on the back, nearly knocking him out of his chair. The drink of champions. It will put hair on your chest and fire in your veins. Jack looked down at his already sufficiently hairy chest and gave a weak chuckle. You know, I think I'm good on the hair quota. And the fire. I like my veins fire-free. The warrior across from him laughed, leaning forward, her massive curves pressing against the table. You fear a little drink, human? You handled us just fine. Jack snorted. Barely. I'm pretty sure I have a new medical condition called crushed by alien Amazon syndrome. The table roared with laughter. Encouraged, Jack leaned in, smirking. You know where I come from. When someone takes you out to dinner after a traumatic event, they usually pay for it. The warriors howled. One of them, a scarred brute with abs like steel plating, slapped the table. You are amusing, human. It is no wonder our leader took an interest in you. Jack blinked. Wait, what now? A hushed silence fell over the group. Then, she stepped forward. The leader of the warriors. Jack recognized her immediately. She had been watching from the royal balcony during the trials, her piercing golden eyes fixed on him the entire time. Unlike the others, she didn't wear thick armor or battle scars. Instead, she was regal, composed, her beauty so sharp it could cut through a spaceship hull. She stalked toward him, hips swaying, an aura of dangerous confidence surrounding her. The warriors parted for her without a word. Jack's survival instinct screamed, "Run!" But his legs weren't listening. She stopped beside him, towering over him, her golden eyes studying him like a predator sizing up prey. So, she said smoothly, this is the human who survived our trials. Jack swallowed. I mean, survived is a strong word. Barely clung to life might be more accurate. She smirked. I find that amusing. Jack exhaled. Oh, thank God. I thought you were about to rip my head off. A pause. Then, deadpan. I still might. Jack's soul left his body. She reached for the goblet he had been avoiding, lifting it effortlessly. Drink, she commanded, tilting the cup toward his lips. Jack barely had time to react before the thick blue liquid flooded his mouth. It burned. It burned like he had swallowed a supernova wrapped in regret. Jack choked, his eyes watering. WH, why is it spicy? The warriors howled with laughter. The leader simply watched, waiting. Jack wheezed. I think my internal organs just declared independence. She raised an eyebrow. And yet you still live. Jack coughed. For now. She leaned closer. You interest me, human. Jack's brain short-circuited. He had no idea how to respond to that. The warriors grinned knowingly. Some exchanged glances. Others nudged each other, whispering in hushed, teasing tones. Jack was missing something. Okay, I'm getting the distinct feeling I just stepped into some kind of elaborate cultural misunderstanding. Someone want to fill me in? The leader's golden eyes glowed. You are sharp for a human. Jack exhaled. All right, please tell me I didn't just accidentally sign up for something crazy, because my track record today is not great. She smirked. Tell me, Jack, do you know what it means when a warrior queen shares her drink with a man? Jack's stomach dropped. The warrior snickered. Jack's voice cracked. Do I want to know? The leader tilted her head. In our culture, it is the first step in claiming a mate. Jack choked on air. The warriors erupted in laughter. Jack held up his hands. Wait, hold up. Let's rewind. Let's go back. I mean, you forced me to drink it. That wasn't voluntary. The leader smirked. And yet you drank. Jack's soul screamed. The warriors cheered. Jack panicked. Look, not that I'm not flattered, but doesn't this seem a little fast? I mean, we just met. Shouldn't there be a dating phase? Maybe a nice meal that doesn't involve me being almost killed? One of the warriors smirked. You think this is fast? This is courting. Had she wanted to claim you outright, she would have simply carried you off by now. Jack blinked. That was an option? The leader studied him, a glint of amusement in her eyes. You truly are different from the men of our world. Jack sighed, rubbing his face. Lady, I am just a simple mechanic who got dropped into this mess by accident. I did not wake up today expecting to become a warrior queen's potential boy toy. A pause. One of the warriors snorted. Boy toy! Jack groaned. I walked into that one. The leader chuckled, stepping closer. I admire your wit, human. But the night is still young. If you truly wish to prove yourself, perhaps you should embrace our ways. Jack stiffened. Define embrace. She ran a finger down his chest. You will see. Jack felt his soul leave his body. The warriors cheered. Jack sighed. He was so screwed. Jack didn't know how he ended up here. One moment, he was choking down what he was pretty sure was jet fuel disguised as alcohol, and the next, he was being dragged through an enormous palace by a warrior queen who had very clearly decided he was hers. Not metaphorically. Literally. Her grip on his wrist was firm but effortless, like she was leading a particularly small and amusing pet. The hallway was dimly lit, massive columns stretching toward the ceiling, walls adorned with tapestries of half-naked alien warriors crushing their enemies, or, based on some of the artwork, their lovers. Jack swallowed. He was in so much trouble. So, he started, trying to keep his voice casual despite the fact that he was being taken to what was very clearly a bedchamber. Do you, do this often? Snatch up humans and drag them off into your... He glanced around. Absurdly luxurious murder bedroom? The queen didn't even slow her pace. You speak as if you do not wish to be here. Jack choked on air. I didn't say that. I just, I enjoy living. My bones are very attached to staying inside my body. She finally stopped at a massive set of ornate doors, turning to face him. You are not afraid of me. Jack exhaled. I should be. She leaned down slightly, smirking. And yet you are not. Jack held her gaze. The golden glow in her eyes, the subtle curl of her lips, the way she studied him like she was already undressing him with her mind. Yeah, okay, maybe he was an idiot, but fear wasn't what was winning in his brain right now. He crossed his arms. I've been thrown into an arena, nearly crushed, half killed, and force-fed something that may or may not have ignited my stomach lining. At this point, I think my survival instincts just gave up. The queen chuckled. Then she pushed the doors open. The bedroom was massive. Jack barely had time to process the absurd size of the bed before he was pulled inside. The doors slammed shut behind him. Jack tensed. Okay, so this is happening. Cool. Before we get to whatever part of this involves me dying or getting broken in half, are we gonna talk about it? The queen arched an eyebrow. Talk? Jack gestured between them. Yeah. Communication? I hear it's great. I mean, listen, you're very intimidating. And hot. And intimidatingly hot. But I am a human man. We don't do well with being tossed into giant beds by powerful warrior women without at least a few context clues. She smirked. Very well. Ask. Jack exhaled. Right. Okay. So, first off, what exactly do you want from me? She stepped forward. Jack took a step back. His knees hit the edge of the bed. Your reaction should make it obvious, she said smoothly. Jack's brain short-circuited. I mean, you could have any warrior on this planet. Why me? The queen reached forward, trailing a finger down his chest. Because you are not like them. Jack swallowed. That's putting it lightly. She chuckled. You are smaller, weaker, more fragile. Jack winced. You're really selling this, huh? Her fingers brushed lower. And yet you survived. You stood among warriors and did not break. Jack's pulse spiked. I came close. She smirked. But you did not. Jack exhaled, trying to ignore the way his body was very much reacting to the situation. Okay, so you like that I didn't die? That's a pretty low bar. Her fingers curled into his shirt. You intrigue me, she murmured. I wish to know your limits. Jack blinked. Oh, you'll find them fast. She laughed. We shall see. Jack swallowed hard. Okay, but before we, explore my limits, I gotta warn you. I don't know if I can, keep up. The Queen tilted her head. Jack gestured vaguely at her everything. You are a lot. A very good lot, but, my species doesn't usually go toe-to-toe with warrior goddesses and walk away intact. She smirked. I will be careful. Jack snorted. Forgive me if I don't find it comforting. Her grip tightened. Then let me prove it. Jack's soul ascended. What followed was a blur. Jack had no idea how he was still breathing by the end of it. Every muscle in his body felt like jelly, his brain refusing to process what had just happened. The Queen lay beside him, looking entirely too satisfied. Jack groaned. I think I blacked out for part of that. She smirked. You lasted longer than I expected. Jack grumbled. Thanks, I guess. She ran a hand down his chest. Do you regret it? Jack exhaled, staring at the ceiling. Give me a few days to recover, and I'll get back to you. She chuckled. Jack turned his head toward her. So, what now? Do I get sent back to Earth? Do I become your personal human stress ball? The Queen smirked. That depends. Jack blinked. On. She studied him. Would you stay? Jack's brain short-circuited. Wait. You're serious? She nodded. A warrior does not take a mate lightly. Jack sat up. Whoa, hold on. Mate? You mean like long-term? She raised an eyebrow. Would that be so terrible? Jack stared. The palace, the arena, the insane alien women who could snap him in half. And then her, the undeniably gorgeous, terrifyingly powerful, ridiculously fascinating warrior queen who had just wrecked his entire existence in the best possible way. Jack sighed. You are going to break me. She smirked. Then I will put you back together. Jack groaned, flopping back against the pillows. I am so doomed.